All right, I built up the Mariners Padres series as a potential World Series preview. Now that series is over, what did we learn?
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans. Welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever they call it these days, and on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram, but the best way to get a hold of me is right here on the YouTube channel. I read all the comments, yes, even the ones who don't like me. And if you're going to leave a comment on any of those social media places, make sure to leave that hashtag Everyday Sully. It helps us find some of your comments. And one of you corrected me because I made a mistake in the last episode. I'll get to that in just a little bit. Hey, today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Okay, before we get started on the Padres and Mariners series that ended this afternoon, and take a look at some of the other things that are going around. Some interesting things. I'm recording this before all the games have ended. Just a little pulling back the curtain there. If a big thing happens, I'll point it out. And I talked the other day about the pitching staffs of the Brewers and of the Toronto Blue Jays. And I had mentioned Bowden Francis being a potential person that the Blue Jays could use. And Paul, where is this here? Paul Phillips, 1614. It's right here, and it says, "Dude, Bowden Francis is out for the year." And you what? I totally forgot that. I knew it intellectually, and when I did the show, for whatever reason, that little bit of information that I knew at one point in my life, I totally forgot. And so forgive me. Yeah, I make mistakes from time to time. Let's go through the trivia question. The trivia question was, who are the only three pitchers to win 200 games as a New York Yankee? That's not 200 wins altogether in a career, but 200 wins as a member of the New York Yankees. And I got a lot of people who would get 2 out of 3 of them. I've got a lot of guesses that got 2 out of 3. One said Justin Miner was one who said, Justin Miner 5373 said Ford, Guidry, and Pettit. You got 2 of them. Then Big John 08865 says, trivia guess, Andy Pettit, Ron Guidry, and Red Ruffing. You got 2 of them. Getting all 3 was tough. Men's Ray 1251 got it right. And whether or not you look these up or not, you know what, don't really care. Whitey Ford has the most with 236 wins. Then Red Ruffing with 231 wins. And then Andy Pettit with 219 wins. So that's the answers. Whitey Ford, Red Ruffing, and Andy Pettit. Now remember, Andy Pettit played the 2004, 2005, and 2006 seasons as a member of the Houston Astros. Remember, he did leave the Yankees for a 3-year span. And he was injured one of those years, but he did well in 2 of the others. He probably would have cleared, if he had stayed with the Yankees his whole career, he probably would have the most wins in the history of the New York Yankees. But alas, he did not. Okay, the series between the Mariners and the San Diego Padres was a series that I really hyped up a lot because, and for good reason, I think they're 2 teams they're 2 excellent teams, and it's an intriguing matchup. They both are sniffing first place. They're both within, leaping distance of first place, certainly going to the series. And these are 2 franchises that have very intriguing players in it. Some homegrown stars on Seattle and a couple of savvy moves they made. And the Padres have tried to spend alongside the Dodgers and are within spitting distance of LA. So the series ended today, and I have to say, I think it was a good series. And if this is a preview of what the World Series could look like, we could be in for a good one. And the Mariners won today 4-3, and they took 2 out of 3 from the Mariners took 2 out of 3 from the San Diego Padres. Now, I'm going to go over some of the stuff we've learned because there's some things that I find interesting about this series, especially as two teams that have images of not just making the playoffs, but going far. Two teams that have never won a World Series. The Mariners have never been in a World Series. If this is a World Series preview, let's be prepared for fireworks. Game 1 was a wild slugfest. The Padres were up 4-1 in the second with home runs by Sheets and Cronenworth and Fernando Tatis Jr. Then a home run in Crawford double, Naylor again. Crawford rallied and the game ended 9-6 with the Mariners winning the first game. Game 2 was bizarre. The game on Tuesday was really weird because the Padres were held scoreless in 7 out of 9 innings. And the Mariners only scored in 1 out of 9 innings. But it was still a slugfest. The Padres scored 5 runs in 1 inning. The Mariners scored 6 runs in another. San Diego was up 5 before the Mariners even came to bat. And the Mariners made it 6-5 after a pair of 3-run home runs. And then the Padres held on to win that one. And then in today's game, again, a back and forth affair, and it was Andres Munoz. He had a scare in the 9th, and the Padres tried to rally. Cronenworth missed a home run by that much, and then Tatis made it a 1-run game with a 9th inning hit. But in the end, it was the Mariners holding on to win the final game and take the series. Now, there's a couple of things that became really, really clear in that series, and it's worth bringing up. It's worth bringing up some of the strengths of both teams and something that should be disturbing for a team that, as of this moment, really has images of a potential World Series appearance dancing in their head, and they better hope there's a turnaround in one particular department. Okay, let's hear from our good friends over at Upside. Now, are you still paying for a full price of gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code SEASON and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You could make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already need. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just for making their daily commutes. And as someone who lives in Los Angeles County, let me tell you, I fill up a lot. Plus, you can cash out at any time to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using the limited time promo code SEASON for a limited time 25 cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code SEASON. Offers may vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. All right, a little something I want to do here for the Locked On viewers here. We're putting together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make our favorite podcasts even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes the survey will be entered into a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. So thanks so much for giving us a hand. All right. A couple of things are very clear. First of all, the Padres may have won the trade deadline. Now, I've brought this up before, but, O'Hearn is not getting a lot of the starting time now, but he does get some hits when he comes up there. But stealing Ramon Laureano in the O'Hearn deal has been tremendous. He's played great defense, hit the big grand slam, is in the middle of every single rally. I know he doesn't play the same position as this player, but it was like when Marco Scudero was acquired by the Giants in 2012. He just became that spark plug and involved in every single rally. And that's exactly what Laureano has done. And anyone who watched the A's over the last bunch of years knows that Laureano is that kind of a spark plug player, but now he's doing it on a much higher profile. And you add it's kind of the ingredients, the recipe there. If you add things together, adding a Laureano to a lineup that already has the swagger of Machado and Tatis and the steadiness of Luis Sobrais, you put together, and Cronenworth and these other players who've been able to contribute. Then you add a spark plug like Laureano, who can hit the grand slam, but also can hit the ball into the gap. He is the person who can absolutely spark this lineup. And that's a tremendous acquisition made at the deadline. Now, Suarez has been a bust up until this series, but he's starting to produce, and he got some big home runs in the series for Seattle. And having that bat alongside of Rosarena, Rodriguez, and, of course, Cal Raleigh, who homered and is really inserting himself into the MVP conversation. I still think it's going to be Judge. But the fact that Raleigh is a catcher in doing this, and sometimes voters like to vote for the new shiny thing. Judge is the MVP of the American League, but Raleigh is making a big case for it. And don't throw tomatoes at me, okay, if you're offended by me saying what I just said about Judge, because you see the value he has. Also, he's got amazing stats, but if you take that Jenga piece out of the lineup, the Yankees will collapse. So those are some of the big positives that we picked up today. And also, San Diego's bullpen is really, really good. And even today's loss, you take a look at the fact that the Padres had to go to the bullpen after 4 innings, but Jacob didn't allow a run, Peralta didn't allow a run, Morgan didn't allow a run, Matsui didn't allow a run, and these aren't even the big dudes. This is even the Mason Millers of the world, who has also brought another big acquisition at the trade deadline for San Diego. The bullpen that San Diego has is really, really terrific. Now, the problem for San Diego right now, as they're hovering just a couple of games out of first, as I'm recording this, the Dodger game is not over as I'm recording this. But wait, what is the score of the Dodger game? But LA is up 4-1. So, there's a good chance that San Diego will be 2 games back. But even if there are 2 games back, that's 2 games back with a lot of baseball to play. Padre fans cannot be happy with the starting pitching right now and how they performed in Seattle. Darvish was no good. He was no good. And you take a look at what the Dylan Cease the other day. He was no good. They've not been getting the performances that you would need for this team, to move forward and win. Who got the start? Actually, I don't have the notes up here in front of me. Who got the start the other day? It was, I believe, Cease started the first game, and today Darvish couldn't get out of the and Sears, and so you got to be a little worried if you're a Padre fan that you're not getting the performances that you need out of that starting rotation, because while they do have the terrific bullpen, and the bullpen is going to do great work for them, Pavetta's been great, but you got to make sure you can get, if Darvish isn't pitching well, and he didn't pitch well today, and he's only pitched a handful of games this year. King's not back from the injured list. There's a lot of coin tosses that you're going to have, and you can't keep handing the ball over to the bullpen, because we see that is going to be a surefire way to be totally gassed. So that's a big problem for San Diego. They lost this series because of the starting pitching with Darvish not being able to get through 5, because their bullpen was lights out and they were able to string together some decent hits. So the pitching depth by LA is looking a lot better now, since they have Glasnow back, since they're stretching out Ohtani. And let's face it, Clayton Kershaw is pitching well again. Who knows if this is his last season or maybe next to last season? But you get Yamamoto, Glasnow pitching better, Kershaw pitching well, Ohtani being able to do the job. If you get Emmett Sheehan, you get some other pitchers being able to pull it off. And Blake Snell has pitched well as well. Say that 5 times fast. So that's really the element that is in the favor of the LA Dodgers right now. Because you hand the ball to any of those players, and they're being more reliable than the Padres. Now, things can turn around. Dodgers have injury issues, and some of the pitchers I just listed off, Cease, Darvish, if some of these players play better moving forward and have a good September, then they can take that out into the postseason. But that's the main thing they have to worry about. They can go far, but you can't keep having the bullpen coming in the 5th or 6th inning. Now, Wu didn't get past the 6th inning like he did the previous games, and Castillo didn't look great before, but I still like the starting staff of Seattle and that they're able to, with the addition in the, Polanco did well today, and Polanco has some power, obviously. If Suarez continues to find his home run swing, as I said, that will go a long way. I do like the bullpen for Seattle. Munoz has been pitching great this year, and I like the depth. Now, right now, Seattle is on the outside, is behind the Houston Astros, and the Astros were playing. They were playing the Rockies today. The Rockies beat them the other day, but it's still within striking distance. The Rockies are playing the Astros again tomorrow with Jason Alexander, Kyle Freeland. I mean, the Astros are probably going to win that game. And both the Padres and Seattle have tomorrow off, have Thursday off before they go on. Mariners and Kirby are going against the Guardians. Who knows what the Guardians are? They sometimes go on a big, long losing streak, and sometimes they look fantastic. Meanwhile, you have San Diego is going to be. Wait, where are the Padres going? I just had it. Oh, they're playing Minnesota. Now, it's always dangerous to say, oh, well, that's an easy win. But they should be able to beat the Twins. Nestor Cortez is pitching for San Diego. Again, he pitched really well his last game. And having someone like that go deep, he has to go deep. Cortez has to go at least 6 innings tomorrow. Granted, they have a complete off day, so the rest of the bullpen, but you can't have. Here's why I say he has to. You can't go into a series where game 1 is there and you go into the bullpen too soon. You have to have your rest of the bullpen tomorrow, and you can't start a series and have the bullpen be giving you 5-6 innings a game. You got to say 3 at the most, because you can't have a worn down bullpen, because that will kill San Diego. They can go far. Hell, they could win the World Series. So could Seattle. But they can't do it if the bullpen is worn down to a nub. But either way, I knew it was going to be a good series. I did. So now they just have to have San Diego just has to have the pitching to match it. And then we can have a fun October. All right, it's time to hear from our friends over at Game Time. There's nothing like catching a baseball game live. The energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team in person, but actually getting tickets, that's the tough parts. Queues, login screens, surprise fees, it takes all the fun out of it. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. The app has made it simple. You can see the exact view from the seat before you buy it with their seat view section there. Now, I love the zone deals. The zone deals, that you get to pick the section, and Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. And all fees are included. You know your total up front. There's no surprise fees at checkout. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go! Download Game Time today. Hey, thanks so much for making Locked On MLB your first listen. Now, here's what you need to know. Another big moment is happening on Locked On. College football fans, Locked On and Fire TV present the College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year, Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Hawley, and Locked On's local expert. A college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. We saw that the Yankees won and completed their sweep of the Washington Nationals, and the Yankees took a no-hitter into the sixth inning, and they won by a final score 11-2. Washington didn't even show up for this series. They weren't competitive in any of them. And the Yankees got home runs by Grisham, Judge, Bellinger, McMahon, Rice, Wells, I think Nettles, Chambliss, Bill Dickey, Tony Lazzari, and, of course, Juan Beniquez, all homered for the New York Yankees. And a grand total of nobody is impressed. It is rough for the Yankees right now because they kicked the snot out of the Nats. After those 3 humiliating losses to the Red Sox, they're now on a 4-game winning streak, and nobody cares. Because it's actually saying what people were saying, that they beat up bad teams and they can't beat good teams. And so the Nats came in and they did exactly what they thought. They hit home run after home run after home run. And in the end, they kind of proved everyone right. Now, the one thing that I would be, if you're a Yankee fan, you should feel very good about is that Max Fried pitched well again. He pitched very well against Boston in the 1-0 shot. He pitched 6 shutout innings. Then here he pitched 7 innings. Obviously had him no hit through 5 and was terrific. So it's back-to-back starts for Fried, which should make Yankee fans feel very good because you need him. The first half of the season, he was a legit Cy Young contender. And then he went on a slump. Listard showed up, and you're like, oh no, if he's not remotely the way he was before, then there you go. But he pitched well again, and that should make Yankee fans thrilled. The Red Sox, they won a dramatic game against the Baltimore Orioles, where the Red Sox were losing in the 9th inning, and then Rafael Cedon hit a Cedon Rafael. God, why do I always invert his name? Why do I always invert Cedon Rafaela? He's been on the team for years. I'm still calling Rafaela Cedon. I don't know what's the matter with me. All I know, he hits the 2-run home run in the 9th, and the Red Sox wound up sweeping the Orioles. So even with the Yankees sweeping the Nationals, they gained exactly 0 games along the way. But hey, there's another team in New York, and the Mets looked like a team that they were dead from the neck up and about to have their season absolutely end and collapse. And then on the 16th day of August, with the Mets pitching staff in absolute shambles, Nolan McLean made his big league debut and struck out 8 and 5 1/3 innings. And it was just what the doctor ordered. The Mets won. And then in the game against Atlanta last week, he pitched 7 innings and he let up only 2 runs and struck out 7. Not bad. Then today against Philadelphia, he went 8 shutout innings. He's the first Mets pitcher to win his first 3 starts. And with that, the Mets, who just a couple weeks ago were like, oh my God, they're about to fall out of the playoffs altogether. Oh my God, they're going to have the Cincinnati Reds overtake them. Now the Mets swept the Philadelphia Phillies, and they're only 4 games back. I don't think the Mets are going to catch the Phillies, but you don't know that. I don't know. How do we know these things? And if this happens, if this unfolds the way that it appears to be unfolding, Nolan McLean could very well be the person to save the Mets season. It kind of reminds me a little bit of when Michael Wacha came up in the 2013 season and suddenly became an ace down the stretch for the St. Louis Cardinals and was a big reason why they went all the way to the World Series and wound up playing, against some really strong competition. The Pirates were a very good team and Los Angeles was a very good team. And they got to the World Series and took it to game 6. And Michael Wacha was a postseason hero for that team, but also was a great hero down the stretch. Now, the Mets are still the third wildcard team, but they're only 4 games back of Philly. And guess what? If the playoffs started today, the Mets would play Philly. And I think we just saw the Mets can play with Philly. So there you have it. A lot of other games to talk about. I've had more than one person say I'm not talking about the Detroit Tigers enough. I promise I will talk to them about that, and I'll do a whole viewer episode coming up soon. The Tigers lost a very stupid game the other day on a bases-loaded walk. You should never lose a game on a bases-loaded walk. At least you throw it right down the heart of the plate. The worst thing that happens is they hit a grand slam. The best thing happens is they pop up or ground out or don't or take it. But either way, we'll talk a little bit about that. And I've talked a lot about the Blue Jays and the Brewers. So let's talk about today's trivia question. Who threw the first no-hitter in Milwaukee Brewers franchise history? Pretty straightforward one. Who threw the first no-hitter in Milwaukee Brewers franchise history? Put the answers right down here below, and I'll give you a hint. It wasn't Red Ruffing. All right, let's finish watching these games and then preview this weekend coming up in a later show. Talking about the Padres and Mariners series and what we learned from that and how the 2 New York teams are dusting themselves off, but the Red Sox are keeping pace. This has been Locked On MLB. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.